Hi Flosstube. This is a special addition to my Flosstube channel. This is going to be a video showing you my my happy place. This is my sewing room, and I have been going to do this video for a while now, but I wanted to get some things tidied up in here and put away. So it looks decent. And I try to keep this room clean anyway because it's the first room you see when you walk in my front door. My front door is right behind where I'm filming. So anyway, you go into my sewing room, and this is a ladder that I keep quilts on. It's an old wooden ladder that somebody found out in a barn or a shed or behind someone's house. Anyway, and they gave it to me, and I just keep some quilts on it. There is a cross stitch picture. I'm slowly getting some cross stitch hung up on the walls, but this was out of a Leisure Arts magazine for the love of cross stitch. Many years ago. I think this was stitched back in 2006. Anyway, it's a Little House Needleworks. And then this is the table as you enter my sewing room. And eventually I'm going to do some kind of a, I'm going to have some stitchy stuff on here, like a vignette with some stitching, vignette is how you say it, with some stitching stuff on it and that. But right now it just has this little suitcase, and it has, this has fabric in it, or it could even have some projects in it, some quilting projects. And there's some cross stitch pictures that I still need to hang up. I just haven't decided where I'm going to put them yet. Underneath that table, you'll see that there are these boxes. I get those are the Joann's boxes that have the flip tops on them. And you'll see that I have several of them in my sewing room. They are a good place to store my fabric. In these ones, they have, these aren't fabric scraps. These are actually lines of fabrics that I have yardages of. And then right here, you'll see my 3-tiered cart that I got from Michael's. And the first two shelves have my whips. And then this bottom one has kitted up projects that I want to get started this year. And then I'm going to back up so you can see the shelf next to it. It's quite tall. Again, on top you'll see some of those flip top boxes from Joann's. Again, they have yardage fabric in them. And then this shelf holds all of my fat quarter bundles. And there are a few of Jelly Rolls in there, and these are Lori Holt quilt kits. Well, they're like tabletopper kits. And then the bottom two drawers right there hold all of my Lori Holt scraps. There's my puppy. He's crazy. So we'll go in a little bit closer to this shelf. Just some fat quarter bundles. You'll see a jar right there. It has a whole bunch of buttons in it. I have these, I keep things inside of there. There's more fat quarter bundles. I'm going here a little bit closer. This is a tomato pincushion that I made. I bought the pattern off of Etsy, and just I just went on YouTube and found a tutorial to make these little strawberries. And I have it sitting in this glass that came out of my grandma's house when she passed away and they cleaned out her house. And then down here, more fat quarter bundles. Most of these are like Christmas ones, and I have some patriotic ones over here. And those are some more of those wool strawberries that I made under a little cloche. Some stitching. There's some more stitching. And these are fat quarter bundles of woolly flannel. And I've bought them with the intentions of, if I do wool applique and I have a pattern but I don't have any wool, I can use that woolly flannel. And then next to it is this cabinet. And above this cabinet is this shelf. The shelf was made for me by my dad a long time ago. It's been quite a few years ago. Let's see if I can put a little bit. And up here on top right here was the iron that my mom used for many years when I was growing up. And then right next to it is some wood spools of thread that I pulled out of her sewing box. And when we were cleaning out my parents' house, I found this old cast iron out in my dad's shed. And this is my first wool piece I've ever done. And then just some cross stitch I have up there. And then this quilt belonged to my mom and dad, and my grandma made it for them when they got married, which today is January 5th. January 5th, 2021. Dang. Anyway, so it is 70 years old this month. My mom and dad would have been married for 70 years this month. And the story behind it is, so my grandma made it for my mom and dad, and as you can see, it was very well loved. But I was going through some old cardboard totes out in my mom and dad's house one day looking for fabric. And this was in there, and I asked my mom about this quilt, and she told me the story behind it. And I asked her, she's like, can I have it? And she's like, well, why would you want that old ratty thing? And she was not a quilter. But so if she was a quilter, I think she would have understood more why I wanted it. Plus it was, it was made by my grandma, and it was for my mom and dad when they got married. And I don't ever remember my grandma having a sewing machine. So I don't know if this is made on a sewing machine, pieced on a sewing machine, or if she hand pieced it. I do know it was hand quilted though. And then on top of this cabinet is my 3-tiered tray here, and it just holds all kinds of fun goodies that I have. This cloth measuring tape came out of my mom's sewing box, and what's funny is I used that when I was growing up and learning to sew. I used that measuring tape. And then this was just a piece that I finished. It was Blackbird Designs, the summer, summer, autumn, winter leaflets. This was the summer one, and I did not like my fabric. Rather than just throwing the whole thing away, I cut that piece out and just made this little hoop finish. I've showed that in my video. And then this was just a piece of fabric. I was testing how to dye, and I dyed it, and so this is a little Lizzie Kate I stitched on here. And then another little Lizzie Kate that I stitched. Behind there is some needle books. The back one came out of my mom's sewing box, and then a friend sent me this one, but they just have some old antique needles in there. Then I just have little treasures kind of stuffed in here. This tomato I bought from Under the Woolen Willow on Etsy. And this was a gift from my friend for my birthday this year, or in 2020. And even though it says Noel, I'm going to keep it out because I just love it. This little box is just a paper mache box, and then I Mod Podged some paper on the top and kind of made it a little sewing box. Someone was selling something similar to this on Etsy, or on Instagram, and I could never get in on her sales, so I thought, I'm going to see if I can make my own. So I did. This is another fat quarter bundle. This is a paper mache box that I covered with flannel. I subscribe to Primitive Quilting and Projects magazine, and it comes out quarterly. And a couple of years ago in the magazine, they had this series, and it was a sewing something series. And anyway, I ordered the kit each quarter, and I made the sewing box. And this is like a, I don't know, like a sewing roll. See if I can bring it out here and show you. It's just got threads and needle minders and needles and stuff in there. I hope I'm not making people sick. So I keep that in there. And then there was a scissor pocket. And anyway, and then this is a sewing roll I cross-stitched and finished up. I showed that in one of my videos. Here's the front of that box. And then this is just I think this is a bobbin. Correct me if I'm wrong. That a friend got at an antique store and gave to me. And then this little tray is just some fun stuff. This was my mom's pincushion. And I used the pins, the straight pins out of this pincushion when I was growing up and learning to sew. This tomato, I think, I can't remember if this was in my mom's sewing basket or if it's one that I got when I first learned how to sew. I can't remember. And then some cross stitch that I've stitched up and just sitting here made into pillows. And this is my first strawberry. I don't know if I'll ever make another one of those because that was really hard. I thought it was anyway. I don't know. Maybe if I had to put ribbon or something on it, it would look better, but whatever. And I think the pattern was Erica Michaels. Then these are just some little pin cushions that I've made out of scraps of fabrics. And then going over here, this is another table topper quilt kit. I have a lot of quilt kits that I need to make into actual things. This was a cool jar that my husband had when we got married, and I just put old wooden spools in here. I go to estate sales and look when I go to estate sales, I look for old wooden spools, and I just have been collecting them in there. Then there's some more fat quarters and jelly rolls. And then this little box a stitching friend gave me, and inside, and she gave me this little heart. And then I just keep like some mini charm packs in here and just some little sewing notions. It's fun little treasures. And then in this cabinet, and then I'm going to eventually make a table runner to go on here. Probably several, maybe seasonal ones or whatever, but I haven't got around to it yet. But anyway, in this cabinet, has a lot of my quilting kits for kits to make quilts. And I think there's some fat quarter bundles and stuff in here. Let's see if I can open the drawers. So it's pretty packed. I have a lot in here. My goal is, I'm going to stitch from stash this year. I'm also going to, I think I'm going to focus on some of my quilt kits. And yeah, there's a lot. And make quilts from all these kits. These are more fat quarter bundles back in there. And more quilt kits. Fabric panels. This one right here is by Lori Holt. And this actually came out a long time ago, quite a few years ago, and I got the original kit. She has now recolored it with some of her newer fabric lines, and you can buy the book. And I know Fat Quarter Shop is doing a sew-along with that this year too. I won't be participating in that. I got too many other quilts I want to do before I do another one like that one. But more quilt kits and more quilt kits. Okay, so then the cabinet next to that, I'll just scoot back here so I can show you that one. This one, I'll go back up here. So you can see I have some more of those boxes with yardage fabric in there. Right here is all my Lori Holt quilt books. And then this also holds Lori Holt quilt patterns, and then these are layer cakes, 10-inch stackers. The next shelf down is all my Lori Holt fabric. This is all my fig tree fabric. You can hear my dog, he's playing with his toy. We'll go in here a little bit closer. These have buttons in them. There's more buttons in here, and there's pipe buttons in there. And then this is a milk, I think they call this milk glass. And I was at the thrift store one day, and we were actually just getting ready to walk out, and I kind of looked to the side, and there was this table, and they had a whole bunch of these. And I wish I would have bought more. I only bought the one, but they had this size, and then they had ones that were bigger. And this one was priced at $12, so that's why I only got one. But then I got up to the register, and they were half price. So I wish I would have got a couple more. And then these are some strawberries I got off Etsy under the woolen willow. And then this just holds some of my scissors that I've gotten as gifts or have come in like stitchy boxes and things that I've gotten. That basket down there is, I'm not going to pull it out because it's really heavy, and my one hand is holding the phone and I can't pull it in and out with one hand, but it holds my wool applique quilt kits. And then these drawers down here is just more fat quarter bundles. And then these plastic drawers, they hold, I consider this my scrap fabric. These are not small pieces of fabric. They're anywhere from a quarter of a yard to a yard or more than a yard. And I have them divided up, like this one is patriotic, this one's Christmas, this is fall. And then I have a drawer for each color. So there's pink and orange, and then there's like browns, blacks, greens, blues, and reds, and yellows. And these drawers are what I pull out of when I have finishes that, like pillow finishes, and I need backing for it or whatever. Or I need fabric for finishes of cross stitch. And then these drawers are also ones that my daughter pulls out of if she needs some fabric for something she's making. Up here on top, these are more quilt kits, and they are stacked way back in the back there. So this room, like I said, is not complete yet. You will see my windows don't have anything on them. I'm going to step back. I have ordered plantation shutters for this. Oh, look, you can see me. If I do this in the daylight, then it's really bright and you can't see. So it's either seeing me or, yeah. Anyway, so the plantation shutters, they said it's going to be like the middle to the end of March or February before they're here, into March maybe. So I don't have anything on these windows yet. This faces my backyard, so it's not like everybody can see me at night. Doesn't face the front of the house. So anyway, I eventually will put, after the plantation shutters in, I'll make a valance to go across there. And then this is where all the magic happens. My sewing table. Let's go around here to this side of it. So I have it extended up as long as it will go. And so there was wasted space back there. And I had these wire drawers that I had gotten from IKEA a long time ago. And they actually fit perfect into that space. So my husband just cut me a piece of wood and put on here. But in the drawers I have, oh look, there's my Coming to America kit. But this is interfacing and stuff like that for my embroidery machine. Or stabilizer for my embroidery machine. And then more fabric yardage. My daughter also can pull from this one. I have some that I let my daughter pull from. Others I don't let her pull from. This has flannel to make quilts. And these are both fabric lines. full fabric lines are in here, and they're just... Anyway, and then this is fabric for a quilt I'm going to make for my bed. And then some more of the boxes from Joann's. There's 4 of them there. I'm not sure. I know that one of them holds the spools of thread for my embroidery machine, and another one holds spools of thread for, like, if I'm appliquing on my sewing machine, or binding a quilt and I need, you know, a color to match the binding or whatever. There's thread in there, and I think this one has what does it have? Oh, it has batting. So when I get a quilt back from the quilters, there's always excess fabric and batting, fabric from the backing and then batting. And so I cut it off, and rather than throw it away, I use it. I will use it for table runners and small quilts and stuff like that. This brown box right here was my mom's sewing box. And I just keep spools of thread in there. And then that thing that it's sitting on also just has spools of thread. This right here is a quilt that I am getting ready to start for the new year. All right, now let's go up here. My sewing machine. It's actually a sewing machine / embroidery machine. I don't have the embroidery arm on it. This table right here is what it sits on, and it's electronic, so there's a button I can push, and I can actually lower my machine clear down, and then in this empty space I can put there's a piece of board that goes in here, so it just makes it all a flat table. Or I can lift this clear up, and then it brings my sewing machine up, and I can attach my embroidery arm to it. And let's see what else I got here. This is a project, a rag quilt. I'm in the process of making. It's a Christmas rag quilt. My intentions was to get it done before Christmas, but that didn't happen. Mostly because I'm really not enjoying it. But I'm going to finish it, and it'll probably be the only rag quilt I ever make. And I'll have it for next Christmas. And then this right here is what I call a bonus quilt. So I had a quilt that I had to trim pieces off of, and these were, rather than throw these away, I sewed these half square triangles together, and I'm going to sew them together and just make a small quilt. And probably put Minky on the back of it, and then my grandkids can just wrap up in it when they're here. And every sewing room needs chocolate in my happy quilter mug. And then this just holds rulers and seam rippers and scissors and quilting notions and all that kind of fun stuff. And then on this side is another one of those IKEA baskets, and just holds sewing notions, notebooks, pens, papers, anything, anything for my sewing. All this stuff has this one is for my embroidery machine. And let's see what's in these. Charms, just charms that I've purchased with different themes that I put on, when I put on pillows and stuff when I'm doing my finishing for my cross stitch. And these are the charms and embellishments that are going to go on my stockings. So this box is going to be empty, hopefully in the next year. And this just holds snacks, goodies that I don't want my grandkids eating. And then this is an extra sewing machine I have. This was my main sewing machine until I got my big one. And this is my sewing chair from Home Goods. My husband got it for my anniversary a couple of years ago. I absolutely love it. And another quilt project I'm working on. This has been months in the making because it was a scrap quilt. I just kind of took out of my scraps, and I've kind of added to it, and one of these days I'll quit adding to it and it'll be finished. Okay, what else do we have? We got shelves that my husband put up here to hold some of my stuff. These are, let's see, where are they? Table runner quilt kits are back in there. One of these has Mill Hill kits in them. I'm not sure what's in the other one. More fabric. This one holds binding that I make. When I make binding, I'll put it in there until I get to bind it, until I get go to bind a quilt. More table runner quilt kits. That's a sewing basket I picked up at a yard sale. And I think there's buttons and like just another button company buttons and the pin minis and things like that in there. And that is my Jane Austen quilt kit. Love it. Let's see if I can get this side of it. I don't know if you can see it or not. Love it. That is going to be a challenging quilt. And then just more stitched pieces and little, those are my grandkids. Some candles I have up there. My needle minders. This is blocks for a couple of different quilts I'm doing that I need to get finished. One's a block of the month, so it won't be finished until the end of the year because it just started. The other one's my prim and proper one, and I need to get to it. This has all of my wool applique patterns, and then back here is applique quilts, and then I have books with quilt patterns in them. And believe it or not, I went through this and got rid of a lot. So, and it's still full. And then this drawer holds, I'm not going to pull it all the way out, but it holds all of my cross stitch charts. And it is, as you can see, it is packed full. There is not a whole lot of room to get anything in there. And that is why I'm stitching from stash this year. Not my anything. The next drawer down has a few cross stitch magazines, punch needle and primitive stitcher magazines, and my primitive quilts and projects magazines. And then there's a few wool kits in there, wool applique kits, and then down here has all wool applique kits. And on the side there's my bags that I buy. I like bags, so I end up buying a lot of them. There's another 3-tiered tray. Let me move this out of the way. Another 3-tiered cart that I got from Michael's. The bottom here has empty project bags. This shelf has backing for quilts. And this one has a couple of projects in it. And then this is my my ironing station. And yes, the cover is really scorched. I need to replace that cover. I got the fabric to do it. I just need to do it. And then the 2 drawers just hold rulers and things like that. Just notions, sewing notions and stuff. All of this is quilt kits. I have a problem. And then these are just ongoing projects that I have for quilting. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, a couple of those will be emptied. And then above my ironing station is this old crib mattress holder. So this goes in the bottom of a crib and the mattress sits on it. And I had seen this idea on Pinterest. And so I posted on my local Facebook page and asked if anybody had one of these. And someone says, I have one. You can just have it. It's sitting out in front of my house. And so I went and picked it up. So it just holds all of my quilting rulers and, you know, things like that. And then kind of some special things. This little heart is a clay heart. And it has the impression, my dad's thumbprint impression in it. One of the ladies that worked at the facility he lived at made these for my siblings and just before he died. And then these are old antique buttons and needles that came out of my mom's sewing kit. And these also came out of my mom's sewing basket. And I think they're DM skirts and stuff, but I'm not sure. And then just some cards that some stitchy friends have sent me. And then let's scroll over here. And there's my stitching chair. One of them. This is the one in my sewing room. I have one that I have out in the living room, so I can watch TV out there and stuff. Where my TV's located in here, I can't watch TV from this chair. But it is super comfy, super big, and I love just sitting on it, especially in the mornings, and I can look out the window, and it's just so quiet and peaceful, and I can sit here and stitch for an hour, and my little puppy there snuggles up with me under my quilt. I don't have anything on the walls right here yet, because this wall right here I'm going to put stitching on, and so eventually that wall will be full of stitching. This one right here, I want to hang quilts on it, but I don't want something to just hang one quilt on. So I'm going to have my husband make something that I can put up here, and I can hang like 5 or 6 quilts from it. So, and then right here between my my ironing station and my stitching chair is more of those boxes. Let's see. That's a project that needs to be framed, and I need to pop that back out so I can frame it. This has fabric in it. This one has it's my Christmas box, so it has Christmas projects, like it has some Christmas quilts, some Christmas wool appliques, some Christmas stitching patterns that I want to do is all in there. And then this one holds my it's kind of the same thing, only it holds like anything stitching related, like charts that are related to stitching and wool applique that are related to stitching or sewing. And so that holds all that. And another storage box. There's a picture. I need to decide where I want to hang it. That's why it's still sitting there. This little wooden sewing cabinet thing that I got it in an estate sale. I just love it. Right now it just has fat quarter bundles in it, but I want to stitch up the, I'm not sure what they're called, but they're by Brenda Gervais, and they're the Schoolhouse Abecedarian charts, I think is what they are. Anyway, I want to make them and stitch them up, make them into pillows, and put them in there. And then let's see what we got over here. This cabinet belonged to, or this shelf thing belonged to my mom, and I just have fat quarter bundles sitting on it right now. And then that cabinet right there just has some more yardage. It's flannel and to make a quilt. And then let's go over here to, this is my cutting table. And I'm going to make a skirt or a curtain to go around it so that you can't see all of that stuff there. But this right here is my travel sewing machine. So if I'm going to sewing retreats or going to sew at a friend's house, whatever, that's the sewing machine I take. And it has everything. It has rulers, rotary cutters, mats, cutting mats, everything in it. So it's like a portable sewing room. This right here is a quilt project that I started with my daughter, and then she kind of fizzled out on me, so I need to get back to it. More quilt kits right through there. This basket here holds up all my cross-stitch kitted projects. And I didn't show this in my 2021 plans because I don't plan on getting to any of that this year. And then this is just more yardage fabric. And let's see what's on my cutting table. This is my prim and proper quilt I'm working on. I'm getting ready to cut out the pieces for the corners. It was a sew along I was doing with some people on Instagram, and Lori Holt and Fat Quarter Shop, or it's Lori Holt's pattern. Fat Quarter Shop was doing it, was doing the sew along, and Krusty from Crosshatch Quilts and some other people on Instagram. Anyway, it was supposed to be done by now, but I got sick just before Christmas, and so I didn't get my corner pieces done, that was the week of Christmas, was to do those, and then the week between Christmas and New Year's was to put the quilt together. So I'm a little bit behind. So that's what I plan on getting to, and then this is the fabric for those corner pieces. And then more stuff. This is actually projects that I am currently working on, or have quilts I've started, and this right here was a block of the month last year that I did block 1 and 2, and then that was it. And I want to get that done this year, and then I'm going to make a table runner out of that. And this is a Kimberbell wall hanging quilt. Anyway, so just more stuff. And then this has all my scissors and rotary cutters and things like that. And then I just have odd and end things down there. So anyway, this is my sewing room, and I absolutely love it. And so anyway, if you have any questions, or, just go ahead and ask me in the comments below. And I would be happy to answer anything that I can to the best of my knowledge. And where's the puppy? Oh, there he is with his toy. He's funny because he has a basket of toys in the other room, and when I'm in here sewing, eventually everything in the basket ends up in here in the sewing room. But anyway, thanks for joining me in my sewing room. I hope you liked what you saw. And like I said, if you have any comments or questions, just leave them below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. See you later.